When Chancellor Whitt asked me to serve the university in yet another capacity, I promised that we would build on the momentum and the progress that has been made in the last decade and the last 183 years of history at the University of Alabama. With all of your help, I am proud to report that we are making significant progress. Before I get into what I want to talk to you about this afternoon, I want to take a minute and echo what Steve said. I want to thank Steve for the email that he sent out to all of the faculty. I want to thank Hamilton for the work that he did with the students. Both Steve and Hamilton reaching out to their constituencies made a difference. I want to thank all of the faculty and staff for the work that you did to help our students remain calm, to help our parents understand everything that the University of Alabama was doing in order to keep this campus a safe environment for our students. It certainly was a week that we have learned a tremendous amount from. And it probably is the new norm in terms of dealing with social media and how rapidly information travels. I want to talk with you this afternoon about three different areas. I want to touch on what's happening with enrollment, and then I want to touch on some leadership changes, and then I want to provide a brief update of the progress that we've made with our physical campus, our infrastructure over the last year. This fall, we welcomed 36,155 students to the University of Alabama. This is another increase despite a national trend and a trend throughout Alabama with a decline in enrollment, a slight decline that has happened over the last 3 or 4 years. But the University of Alabama continues to buck the trend and has increased its enrollment by 20%. At the graduate and first professional level, our enrollment has remained relatively steady. Dean Franco indicated that if you look just at the graduate enrollment, our graduate enrollment over the past 5 years has increased approximately 11%. Nationally, graduate enrollment over that same period of time has increased less than 1%. So again, our graduate enrollment is bucking the national trends. But as we go forward, we need to work extremely hard to ensure that more of our enrollment growth is coming from a growth at the graduate level, especially at the doctoral level. Dean Franco has asked, we have reviewed and have approved allowing students who come in on presidential scholarships and have sufficient credits to graduate early to use some of the 8 semesters of scholarship support for graduate education. I see Mary Spiegel here and some others with admissions. Our admission staff have delivered another outstanding freshman class. If you look at the growth in our freshmen over the last 5 years, we have 1,300 more freshmen this year than we did 5 years ago. Remember that number because I'm going to use it again in just a minute. This freshman class is the largest and most academically accomplished in our 183-year history. Our 6,856 freshmen had an average ACT of 26.1. This is approximately the 86th percentile, or the top 14% nationally. Some 30% of our freshman class never made a B in high school. 37% of our freshman class took AP courses while they were in high school. Over the last 5 years, the number of students in our freshman class has almost doubled that have an ACT of 30 or above. An ACT of 30 represents the 95th percentile. Now remember, I said a few minutes ago that our freshman class has grown by 1,300 over the last 5 years. This slide shows that there are 1,000 more students in our freshman class with an ACT of 30 or above. I think Mary and anyone else from admissions needs to stand so that we can thank them for their hard work. This doesn't just happen. It happens with a lot of hard work, and I know Mary is echoing in my ear, but I've got the support of the faculty, the staff, and the deans, and that is so important together. And alumni. Alumni is making a huge difference in what our admissions staff are able to do. The most important thing we can do for our students is to send them out with the degrees that they came here to earn. The most important thing we can do for our state is to increase the number of college graduates we have to accept the jobs that our businesses, our hospitals, our school systems need, and to accept the jobs that new industry wanting to relocate need to have in order to choose Alabama. This slide shows that over the past 7 years, the University of Alabama has increased the number of degrees granted by 50% or by 2,500 more degrees. This is so important to the future of the state of Alabama. It is important that we do everything we can for our state by sharing the resources, the human resources and the physical resources that we have in order to promote economic development in the state of Alabama. The University of Alabama can contribute to economic development through education, through innovation, through knowledge transfer, and through revitalization. I just mentioned what we are doing with regard to educating the workforce. In addition, our faculty are so important to economic development. We need to capitalize on the innovation of our faculty and staff as they create knowledge that has an economic impact. Knowledge transfer is so important. I'll show you the list of some of the centers that we have on campus that help our businesses and industry in the state as they utilize the knowledge that our faculty and staff have. And of course, our faculty and staff work very hard to partner with communities throughout the state in order to revitalize what is going on there. This slide depicts some of our faculty and staff who play an active role in working with our centers that are so instrumental to economic development. This slide names some of the centers. The centers are in the Office of Academic Affairs, the Office of Research, in our College of Arts and Sciences, College of Commerce and Business Administration, Engineering, Continuing Studies, HES. Really, every college at the University of Alabama has faculty and staff who are making a contribution to assist with economic development. In order to ensure that we are doing everything Governor Bentley, the state of Alabama, needs in order to assist with economic development, we are changing Dr. Pinkert's title to Vice President for Research and Economic Development, and his office to Vice President for Research and Economic Development. He will serve as the point person to the vast array of resources that are already available, and he will provide the leadership for developing additional resources to ensure that we are giving back to the state of Alabama as the state of Alabama's flagship and capstone of higher education. When I asked Dr. Benson to serve as the interim provost and academic vice president, I asked him if he would stay at least through the time that we completed the SACS reaffirmation process. Dr. Benson has told me that with all of your help, and I'm sure that most people in this room have had a role to play in this certification process, but with the 650-page document in Atlanta and the 23,000 pages of attachment in Atlanta, online, available to be reviewed by our peers throughout the southeastern United States, he has indicated that it is time that we put a search committee in place in order to begin to look for the next provost. We're not quite through with SACS, I've tried to remind him. But in order to accommodate his wishes, I have asked Dr. Pinkert if he will serve as the chair of the search committee, and by the end of the week we will be announcing the individuals who will be on the search committee. So please think about colleagues that you have that you want to recommend to the search committee for consideration for that important position. I think everyone knows that Dr. Stephen Hood has assumed the interim role of Vice President for Student Affairs. There is an active search underway for the next Vice President of Student Affairs. Travis Railsback and Molly Lawrence are co-chairing that search. And so if you have individuals that you think should be considered for that position, do not hesitate to let the search committee know. Dr. Nelson has moved across the street and is now serving as the new Dean of the College of Communications and Information Sciences. We're so pleased to have Dean Mark Brandon as the Dean of our law school. Mark grew up in Birmingham. He received his Juris Doctorate from the University of Alabama, so he's back home at the University of Alabama after stops by Princeton and most recently by Vanderbilt. Dean Vicki Van Diver is our new Dean of the School of Social Work. She comes to us from Portland, Oregon, where she was an Associate Dean at Portland State University. We have a number of deans here, and I would like for them all to stand because they work extremely hard in order to facilitate our faculty and staff making the progress that they are. So would the deans please stand? About half of our deans have been here 2-3 years, less than 5 years. But we have a great group of deans. We're very fortunate. Business Insider acknowledged that the University of Alabama has one of the most beautiful campuses in the nation. Of course, we already knew that, but it's always nice to see that others recognize it, particularly when they're recognizing it nationally. I would like to spend just a few minutes looking at some of the projects that our men and women in the facilities and in construction administration have brought online during the past year. Would everyone from facilities, construction administration, and other areas of financial affairs that have contributed to this, please stand so that we can recognize you? I think that there are more here than stood, but please know that we do appreciate the hard work. And when you look at this slide and think about that over the past year, Dr. Gilbert's area has brought online 1.3 million square feet of new or renovated space at a cost of $354 million. A tremendous amount of work is going on, in that area. We started last fall with North Engineering Research Center, the fourth and final building of the Shelby Quad coming online. We now have close to 1 million square feet of new state-of-the-art engineering and science space. This space will surely allow us to attract and retain the best and brightest faculty from around the nation and around the world. And the best and brightest faculty will enable us to attract the best and brightest students who are going to come in order to work side by side in these beautiful facilities. In the spring, the landscaping for the Shelby Quad was completed, and Dwayne and his staff did an amazing job with that. In March, NOAA opened a water research center on our campus. This facility is adjacent to the Shelby Quad. This facility provides opportunities for our faculty to assume leadership roles in the coming years. Surely, water policy and natural resources will remain on the forefront of top issues nationally in the coming decades, and the University of Alabama is poised for a leadership position. Dr. Pinkert shared some data with me that shows that our faculty already have $3 million in active contracts and grants from National Science Foundation, from EPA, from USDA. Our faculty are assuming a leadership role in a task force that the governor has appointed on water policy. This is an area that is sure to grow and be important in our future, and having the NOAA facility on our campus is so important. This fall, we opened the second Presidential Village Residence Hall, and we opened the Student Activity Center at Presidential Village. In July of 2011, Rose Towers stood at this site. Now we have two beautiful residential communities overlooking the Black Warrior River, and between the two residential communities is a student activity center that is truly state-of-the-art. The Student Activity Center is 114,000 square feet at a cost of $32 million. This is another view of the Student Activity Center. This fall, we brought online an addition to the Ferguson Center, and a portion of the Ferguson Center was renovated. We brought online 75,000 square feet of new space at a cost of $45 million. And this is the new entrance to the Ferguson Center. If you haven't been over to the Ferguson Center, please go. You are in for a real treat. We have a new dining facility, Fresh Foods, close to the Shelby Complex, close to the Science and Engineering Library, the Rogers Library. 50,000 square feet at a cost of $15.6 million. This is a rendering, not a rendering, this is a picture of the Fresh Foods. Last year we brought online a new parking deck. There's another parking deck under construction and another parking lot under construction. So as we go forward, we are continuing to address issues relating to parking. This is what our campus looked like when we did the campus master plan in 2007. This was prior to the acquisition of Bryce. This is what our campus looks like with the acquisition of Bryce. Bryce moved out of the Bryce Hospital on our campus and into their new facility this summer. We now have possession of the Peter Bryce campus. We are in the process of the planning for the restoration of the Bryce Main building. This building was constructed in the 1850s, and we have agreed to restore it. The Bryce Main building will be the home of a welcome center. It will be a site for display of various collections. Adjacent to, coming up from behind the Bryce Main building, will be a new performing arts facility. And the chair of that department is sitting in the audience, and I am confident that he is extremely pleased to see the planning. I think that this was promised back when the Moody Music Building came online in the 1980s. And so, Bill, I would say good things happen for those who wait. The Department of Theater and Dance will be relocated to this facility once it has been renovated and the performing arts space has been constructed. This is a proposed rendering of what Bryce Main will look like once it has been completed. This fall, the College of Education has been able to move into the Barnes Education Building. This slide really does not do it justice. It is one of the relatively new buildings at Bryce. It was the school. The College of Education has been teaching students in our Multiple Abilities program at a variety of off-site locations. We have been renting space for faculty to teach students in that outstanding program. This facility is ideally suited for the Multiple Abilities program, and so they have been relocated there. The Crossing Points, which was on the 3rd floor of Garland, has been relocated to the Barnes facility. Prior to taking control of Bryce, mental health allowed us to use several of the buildings on the Bryce campus. Among those were the Kidd buildings, the 3 Alice Kidd buildings. In order to build the Water Center, we had to tear down the space where environmental health and safety was. That group has moved into one of the Kidd buildings. Student media has moved into another of the Kidd buildings, and the Department of Theater and Dance is using for some of its costume work and stage construction work one of the Kidd buildings. Our people in facilities have renovated the Bryant Jordan Chapel into a Bryant Jordan Hall, and this is the new home of a recording studio and the opera theater program. In the planning stages, but really approaching the final stages of planning, are plans for a new classroom building that will be built on the Peter Bryce campus. This classroom building will be available to all departments, to all colleges, and it is very centrally located now across the street from the Shelby complex. The Peter Bryce campus provides an opportunity for the University of Alabama to alleviate some of the overcrowding that has taken place on the main campus. The buildings and facilities that I've pointed out are just a few of what is being planned, what is under discussion. I have not hit all of the high points, but I have just given you some of the high points. But it provides a bright future, allowing the University of Alabama to continue for the facilities to keep pace with the faculty, the staff, and the students who are coming to the University of Alabama in order to ensure that we are truly a nationally competitive university and that we are the flagship and we are the capstone of higher education in our great state. Again, thank you so much for what you do every day in order to take care of our students, in order to make certain that the University of Alabama represents the state of Alabama in a way that everyone can be enormously proud. I hope you all have a good rest of the day. Thank you.